Getting Sreshta's audio through.
Hello. Am I audible now, sir?
Yeah, now you're audible.
Okay,
Yes,
so let
yes,
me
you're
know
audible.
if there is any breakage with my voice at a later point of time as well. So, very good afternoon to one and all present over here. Myself, Shrestha, working as Senior Research Fellow at Center for System Design and ITK Surathkal. So, myself, on behalf of Virtual Labs team at NITK Surathkal, welcome you all for this afternoon session on the demonstration of different virtual labs in different domains. So, let me share my screen now. So hope my screen is also visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, thank you, sir. Yeah. So in the morning session, you had seen what exactly is this virtual lab and why this virtual lab will be used, right? So this is the website of virtual lab. So to access that, the link is vlab.co.in. It is vlab.co.in, which takes us to this national website of virtual labs. So if you see below in this site, you have objectives and the philosophy of virtual labs. The points has already been discussed in the morning session. So to brief quickly, this is 3P lab, independent of place, space, and period, and it provides a complete learning management system at a single place. So if you take any of the concept, all the contents relating to that particular concept will be available at a single place over here. And moving to the broad areas, if you look here, in these 9 different domains, we'll be getting to see large number of virtual labs available and who develop these labs. So there are various participating institutes. So there are total 11 participating institutes entitled to this project who will be working on the development of labs also in the outreach. So NITK Surathkal is one among the participating institutes. Others are 6 old IITs, IIIT Hyderabad, 2 private universities, COE Pune. So now let's get into the labs. Where and all we will find labs over here or the experiments. So there are in 3 different places you'll be able to find the labs available. One is you can go domain wise to get access to the labs. You can click on each of the domain and see the list of labs under them. Second place is with this institute logo. So by clicking on each of the institute logo, say for example, if I click on the NITK Surathkal logo, it will take you to the list of labs developed by NITK Surathkal. And there is one more place, and that is the new lab development site. So to get into that, at the top of this national website of virtual labs, you'll find a menu called new lab development. So clicking on that will take you to one more website maintained by IIT Bombay. So if you don't find a concept available in the main website of virtual lab, you can search over here as well. So the concepts that are not available in the main website will be available over here. Okay. So again, in this particular website, at the top, you can find a menu called Explore Labs. So here you have 3 more options. So under Approved Labs and Labs in the Development section, you'll find large number of labs that are available for each of the domains. So here I have moved into Approved Labs section. So if I sort it according to the discipline, say for example, civil engineering, you'll find these many labs. CS, again, many labs are available. So for each of the domain, you'll find plenty of labs available over here as well. Okay. So these are 3 places where you can search for labs. So now let's look how is an experiment or a lab is structured. So for that, we will get into one of the lab. So before moving, I would like to stress on 2 points over here. One thing is, if you're searching for a concept in your domain, say for example, if you are from electronics and communication, or if you are from computer science and engineering in particular, if you want to look into a concept of logic design, say for example, it may not be available within computer science and engineering domain itself. You need to go and search in the relative domains. So if you are from any domain, if you want to look into a concept or an experiment other than your domain, you need to look into your relative domains as well. Okay. So for example, if I say circuit domain, you need to look into the labs under electronics and communication. You need to look into computer science and engineering domain, electrical engineering domain, and also physical sciences domain. Okay. So one more thing, some of the concepts might be demonstrated under multiple labs. So whichever interface you feel convenient, you can pick that. So flip-flop experiment, if you consider under 2 to 3 labs, you'll find that particular experiment. So some might be a bit complicated one, some might be very simple. So based on your requirement, you can pick up the lab. Keeping these things in mind, let us get into the labs now. So we have 9 different domains. So I'll take you with one of the basic experiment relating to circuit domain. So to start with, I'll take you with 1 or 2 labs under circuit domain. Then my other colleagues will take you with the labs under different domains. If you look into the hierarchy, we have 9 different domains. Inside each domain, you'll be finding set of labs. Inside each lab, you'll be finding set of experiments. Okay, so the institute that develop a lab will be listed over here. Say, for example, IIT Kharagpur developed this particular lab. Similarly, IIT Guwahati developed this particular lab. So the institute which has developed the corresponding lab will be listed sidewise. So you'll be finding labs from very basic topic to very advanced ones over here. To take you with one of the basic interface, I'll take you with analog signals, network and measurement lab. So if I say circuit domain, one of the concept that comes to our mind immediately would be circuit solving, right? We'll be having many laws, theorems and all, which we come across. And we have 3 different labs explaining the concepts of theorems. So one of the lab is this analog signals, network and measurement lab. And whenever we say a lab, the content covered for each would be similar. We will be having introduction for the lab, then would be the list of experiments within each lab, then people behind the development of this particular lab, and finally is the feedback link. Okay, you'll be finding many more sub-menus when you get into the different labs. So these are the basic ones. And let us get into the experiments now and see one of the experiment over here. So these are the wide variety of experiments available. One of the common or basic experiment is Thevenin's theorem, which most of us would be familiar with. And let us see how is the demonstration available in this virtual lab platform for this particular experiment. So I am inside now verification of Thevenin's theorem. And whenever we say an experiment, as I already told, this virtual lab platform provides a complete LMS. Here, if you observe, as what we asked students to write in a record book, theory behind the concept, complete theory will be available over here, detailed theory. Then is the procedure. So one thing we need to note is this is the procedure to do the experiment in this virtual lab platform. Then is the operating environment. So if any system requirements are there, it will be listed over here. Then is the simulator where we actually do the experiment virtually. Then we have set of questions to test our understanding levels. So we can start, solve it using pen and paper, check our answers over here by clicking on the submit button. Okay, so these are the set of questions. Finally, we'll be having the reference links. Moving into the simulation now, I'll be going into the simulator tab and click here to perform the experiment. So if you see, most of the experiments available within this virtual lab platform would be mobile friendly as well. Some of the older labs would depend on some of the basic plugins. So alternate newer lab versions would be coming up. This is the simulator interface available. So when you say circuit domain labs, you can again categorize the experiments into 3 subcategories. One is where the circuit is fixed. We need to just vary the input parameters and note down the output variations. That is basically for understanding a concept. Second set of labs would be where we can rig up the circuit manually, then proceed with the experiment. Okay. So that is the second group. And there is third subcategory of groups where we can get the components to workspace, rig it manually, then vary the component values, then proceed with the experiment. So this is the first category where circuit is fixed over here. The circuit, though it looks complicated, it is the same circuit that is available in the theory section. And Thevenin's theorem, here is a brief procedure given. This is the circuit we'll be solving. These are the different cases to proceed with the experiment, and below is the observation table. Okay, so here you can see there are two switches, S1 and S2. Using this, we can control input supply and load to the circuit. So first case is to solve the circuit in a normal circuit solving procedure by connecting supply and load to the circuit and click on the simulate button. We'll be getting the load current. Case 2A is to find Thevenin voltage. We know to find Thevenin voltage, we need to remove the load. So my S2 will be intermediate, keeping S1 in power state, clicking on simulate button. You'll be getting Thevenin voltage. Case 2B is to find Thevenin resistance. So here again, to find Thevenin resistance, we know we need to short the supply and keeping S2 in power state, click on the simulate button, we'll be getting the Thevenin resistance. Finally, case 3 is to find Thevenin load current using Thevenin's theorem. So for that, we need to just click on the simulate button. We'll be getting the load current value. So finally, we need to compare the two values, that is load current using Thevenin's theorem and without using. So for that, we need to click field data to the table, and you can see table being updated below. So this is the first set of observation for these component values. So similarly, we can get other set of observations by changing each of the voltage and resistance values. Okay, so this is one of the simplest interface that is available, keeping circuits fixed by varying the input parameters. We can generate multiple questions and ask the students to solve and verify their results over here. Moving ahead, I'll take you with one of the lab under electrical engineering domain over here. So this would come under the second set of experiments or labs. So here again, inside electrical engineering, you'll find labs that are core to electrical engineering, virtual high voltage lab, industrial automation lab, PLC lab, and so on. Also, there are some of the common labs available. So electrical machines lab, if you see, there are 3, one from IIT Guwahati, one from COE Pune, and one more from IIT Roorkee. So this is the newer lab. Let us look into that and quickly see how is the simulator interface different from the previous one. So first one is theoretical based, explaining the components that we use in the lab. So rest are the experiments. So I'll take you with one of the simple experiments, speed control of DC motor by field resistance control. Again, the content covered is similar. So let us directly get into the simulation. I think I have opened it in some other page. Yeah. So this is the simulator available. Here we have the components. We need to manually rig up the circuit and then proceed as per the instructions. Okay, so you'll find many more labs. So one of the example which has similar experimental flow is analog electronics lab, where the experiments again will have a similar flow. Here we need to first rig up the circuit as per the instruction. Then we need to check if the connections are right. Then we need to provide inputs in steps by varying field resistance and armature resistance values. For each of the field resistance value, we need to click add to table. Once we have sufficient readings in the table, we can go for plotting the graph. Finally, we can click on the print button to get the printout of the entire simulation window. Okay, so this is the instructions, brief procedure given. So A to K, A to Y, and A to J. A to K, A to Y, A to J. Then B to P, E to M, B to P, E to M, F to D, G to R, G to R, H to I to C, C to H. Finally, it is Q to L. Okay, so these are the connection. So if we encounter doing some wrong connection, we can click on the node values. So clicking on this P, blue color P button, that particular connection will go off. So we can redo. So once we have done with the connection, we can go for checking. So once we have correct connections being done, we can go for turning on MCB, proceed with the experiment. So first we need to set the voltmeter reading. Next, we need to provide field resistance in steps. So for each of the field resistance value, we need to click add to table. And similarly, we need to proceed further. Once we have sufficient readings, we can go for plotting the graph. You can see the front view of DC motor over here. We can go for plotting the graph. Finally, we can click on the sprint button to get the printout of the entire simulation window, which we can save and keep it for our future references. Okay. So these are few of the experiments, or one or two experiments I have demonstrated. So there are many more labs or experiments that are available relevant to the circuit domain over here, as well as in the new lab development site. Since the time is short, I request participants to explore further. And I'll now hand over the session to my colleague, Mr. Latesh, who will be taking you with the labs under mechanical engineering domain. So with this, I'll wind up the session from my end and hand over the session to Mr. Latesh. Thank you. Over to you, Latesh.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, Latesh.
Yeah. Is my screen visible now? Hello, can I get a feedback?
Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Latesh. I am a junior research fellow here at CSD NITK. And today I will be giving a short demonstration on few of the labs in mechanical engineering broad areas of virtual labs. So if I go to vlab.co.in and I scroll down, under broad areas of virtual lab, I'll find mechanical engineering. So I'll click on that. So earlier today in the morning session, Professor Gangadharan sir had given a short demonstration on two of the labs, I believe, and that was mechanics of machine lab and dynamics of machine lab. So I will be giving demonstration on two more labs. So I will go to electron microscopy for beginners by IIT Kanpur. So I'll click on that. So this is the interface I'll get. So the content will be similar to whatever that was previously explained by Shrishtaman. That is, it will be similar to. This will be similar in all labs regarding. If we go to any of the labs, the content will be similar. The interface might change. So we'll get introduction, objective, list of experiments, target audience, course alignment, and feedback. I'll click on list of experiments. So there are 10 available experiments. I will go to one of these experiments, that is basics of scanning electron microscopy. So if I click on that, I will get this interface. So here again, I'll get aim, theory, pretest, procedure, simulation, post-test, reference, and feedback. So pretest and post-test, here the student can test his knowledge regarding this topic. And theory, I will get all the theory relating to that experiment. Sometimes I will get videos regarding this experiment or this topic. Under procedure, I will get detailed procedure on how to conduct this simulation. So I'll click on the simulation. So it is asking me to switch on the machine by clicking on the power button. I will do that. So every time I do a step, I will get a notification if I have done it correctly or not. So now it is asking me to drag a material into the electron microscope. So I will do that. So these are the materials that are available. So it is asking me to place the material here. I'll do that. I can also interact with the machine. So I can find what each part does. So if I click on this anode, it will give a short description of this part. So now it is asking me to set the vacuum level. So I'll turn on the vacuum. I will keep it at low vacuum. So it is saying vacuum level has been set. So if I turn it to high vacuum, it shows that it should for ceramic and polymers the vacuum should be low. So this is it is showing me an error. So I'll keep it back at low value, low vacuum. Yeah. It is set at low vacuum now. I will set the accelerating voltage also. Let's say 15 kilovolt. I set it. Now I'll turn on the beam. So I can see a small animation of how the electron beam will act, and I will get the output. So this is the output that I will get from a scanning electron microscope if I keep a ceramic material under low vacuum at 15 kilowatt accelerating voltage. I can save this image for future references in my desktop. I can change the magnification of the image. I can also change the brightness contrast. So if I'll change the brightness now. So see, you can see how the brightness changes here. I can also change the contrast. I can reset the experiment by clicking on this reset button. So and I can do the experiment again, trying different materials with the different input parameters. This was so I can do many things using this. Let me go to another lab. Let's go to Dynamics of Machines lab by NIT Kesaratkar. So I will explain one of the labs. So let's go to Porter Governor. So again, the interface will be similar and the content is also similar. So I'll directly click on simulation. So here you can see this is the interface. So here you can see the simulation section or the animation section and the free body diagram. This is the observation section. Here we can see the control section and the variable sections. So here you can see a Porter Governor spinning and also the free body diagram. So let's see what will happen if I change the RPM, that is the speed. So I'll get a visual representation of the speed being varied. And if I observe properly, I can also see that the height of the Porter Governor is also changing. Now, if you observe my mouse, if I change the RPM, and the height of the Porter Governor is also changing. Same way, if I change the mass, height is being changed. And if I want to know the graph, I'll click on this button, radio button. So I'll get the graph between RPM and height. And if I want to know at 200 RPM, at 160 RPM, what will be the height, I can just keep the mouse at 160. I will get the corresponding height of the Porter Governor. So I can use this graph to find RPM or height. And this is the relation between RPM and height of a Porter Governor. So there's a button called Go to Experiment. So I'll click on that. So this will take me to this page where the student can conduct two experiment, that is a calculation based on given parameters or identifying the part of the governor. So I'll go to identifying the parts of the governor first. And if I start the experiment, so it is the simulator is asking me to find each part of the governor. So if I click on this drop down button, I will get 4 options. So I have to select what this part is. So if I select the correct option, it will give me a feedback that this the selected value is correct. And if I click on the wrong option, it is giving me a feedback that the selected option is wrong. So I have to select the correct value. So yeah, the student can identify each part of the governor and test his knowledge. So I'll click exit on the experiment and I'll go to calculation. I'll start the experiment. So the simulator is asking me to find the RPM of the governor. So it has given me the mass and height. So using these values, I have to calculate the mass, calculate the RPM, sorry. And it is also giving me few constant variables. So I'll enter a value. So now I have entered a wrong value. So it is showing me a feedback that I have entered a wrong value. I have to the correct answer. It also gives me the correct answer. So and every time I reset the experiment, the variables will change, and the questions might also change sometimes. So now it is asking me to find the height. It is asking me to find the mass. So every time I click reset the experiment, the questions asked in the experiment will change. So this was two of the labs in mechanical engineering area. Other than this, there are many more labs. So I would request all the participants to go through each lab. We will also find a few labs under approved labs in the new lab development side. So if I sort by discipline, I can find a few more labs under mechanical engineering area. So I would request all the participants to go through each labs and explore this. So these are all the this was a few of the labs under mechanical engineering areas. So I would end my session. I'd like to end my session. I would request my colleague to continue with the other broad areas. So I'll stop sharing my screen now.
Thank you, Latesh.
Thank you, Latesh. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Aishwarya Hegde. I'll be demonstrating on few of the civil engineering based labs. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you're audible.
Yeah, I'll just show you a few of the civil engineering based labs. So as you know, to access the simulation based lab, you have to go to this website vlab.co.in, and there, if you go to broad areas of virtual lab, there are different disciplines where the labs are available. So as I said, I'll go to civil. So in civil engineering domain, there are multiple labs developed by various institutes. There are labs developed by NITK Surathkal, IIT Delhi, IIIT Hyderabad, IIT Roorkee, etc. So we'll see a few of the labs. So let's just start with the strength of material lab. So in this particular lab, again, the format and the template of the labs will remain the same as it was demonstrated in the previous session. So we'll go to list of experiments. So in a particular lab, the experiments will be in this section, that is list of experiments. So in strength of material, there are about 14 experiments. So as you can see, this particular lab deals with different types of experiments. So UTM based experiments. So there is tension test on various materials. Then there is compression test on various materials. So then there are experiments related to impact hardness test. So you can see in hardness test also there are 3 experiments. There is Brinell hardness test, Rockwell hardness test, and Wicker hardness test. So we'll see a few of the experiments. Let's just start with the IZOD impact test. So when I go to the experiment also, the template will remain the same. There is theory, there is procedure, and then there is simulator. Simulator is where you'll be performing the experiment. Then procedure is where you'll have the details on how to do the simulation. So in IZOD impact test, the objective of the experiment is to find the impact resistance of mild steel and cast iron. So basically you're measuring the toughness of the material. So here you can see in the apparatus, the whole experimental setup is shown. So now we'll click on next. So now the user is given an option to select the type of specimen. So there are two options. There is cast iron and then there is mild steel. So we'll select one, let's say mild steel. So once I select the specimen, the dimensional specification of that specimen will be shown. So you can see there is the dimensions are shown. So I'll click on next. So now in the first step, what we'll do is we'll measure the loss of energy due to friction. For that, we'll pull this lever so that the hammer will strike the anvil portion. And as of now, there is no specimen placed in the anvil portion. So by doing that, we can measure the loss of energy due to friction. So it's about 2 joules. So we'll note down this value and then click on next. So now for trial 1, we'll place a specimen of mild steel in the anvil portion. Since it is IZOD impact test, the specimen is placed vertically and the notch is facing the direction of the hammer. So it is placed as you can see. So click on next. So now for trial 1 in the whole experimental setup, you can see here the specimen is placed. So this is a zoomed view of that particular area. So we'll pull the lever and we'll allow the hammer to strike the specimen. So we'll do that and then we'll measure the total loss of energy during the transit of hammer. So it is about 44 joules. Then we click on next. So in the calculation part, we'll measure the energy for failure of specimen, that is 44 joules minus 2 joules. 2 joules is the loss of energy due to friction that we measured in step 1. So then we'll calculate the energy for failure of specimen, that is 42 joules. So then click on next. So now for trial 2, we'll take a new specimen of mild steel. So again, the dimensions will be given in the table. Then we'll place it in the anvil portion. And then, so you can see here, this is the specimen. Then we'll pull the lever so that the hammer will strike. So what has happened in trial 2 is the test piece is not broken by the striking energy of the testing machine. So this particular trial will consider it as nil. So click on next. So again, there is no calculation in this particular section. So for trial 3, again, a new specimen is taken. We'll strike the anvil portion. Then we'll 49 joules. Then we'll calculate the energy for failure of specimen. It is about 47 joules. So click on next. So once we're done with the 3 trials, the readings of the 3 trials will be given in the tabular column. So we'll measure the average value for failure of specimen. That is average of the 2 readings. It's about 44.5 joules. So this was one of the experiments. See, then there is assignment questions and quiz questions which the students can take. So this was one of the experiment in strength of material lab. So I'll just show you overview of the other labs that are available. So if you scroll through this page in the broad areas under civil engineering domain, so you can see in fluid mechanics, there are 3 labs. There is hydraulics and fluid mechanics lab developed by IIT Hyderabad. Then there is fluid mechanics lab developed by NITK Surathkal. So then there is fluid machinery labs. So these are a few of the labs in this particular subject. Other than that, there is a structural dynamics lab. Again, there is transportation lab, which deals with testing of highway material. So if you go to list of experiments, there are about 8 experiments in this particular lab. So again, then there is environmental engineering lab. So there are 2 labs here, environmental engineering 1 and environmental engineering 2. Then there is marine structure lab, which has some of the experiments from concrete engineering. So you can see there is slump test, there is hardness, fineness modulus test, etc. So these are few of the labs which you can explore in your own time. Again, the format of the labs will remain same. For these upcoming labs, the format is, the look and feel of the lab is little bit different. But the template and the format will remain the same. Simulation way is where you'll be performing the experiment. Other than the simulation-based lab, I'll just show you the remote triggered lab. So if you go to our website, rtlabs.nitk.ac.in, so in this particular website, if you go to RT Labs, there are 2 labs, that is Strength of Material Lab and Vibration Lab. So I'll go to Strength of Material Lab. Here, there are a few experiments that are in working condition. So let's see one of the experiments. So let's say torsion test on mild steel specimen. So again, in remote triggered lab also, the template will remain the same. We just have to go to remote triggered. So here it will ask for what is your mode of connection. So since I'm outside NITK, I'll just choose as external network. Then I'll go on to start. So when I get this page, I'll go to live stream. So these remote triggered lab, as you know, we are basically triggering the experiments from wherever we are to the setup that is there in our campus. So you can see here through using a live stream, we'll be able to see the experimentation that is taking place in NITK Surathkal. So this is torsion test that we are performing. So here one end is fixed and the other end is in the other end a torsion force or a twisting force is applied to the mild steel specimen. So you can see this is the mild steel specimen. So let me just show it to you. So yeah, so I'll show you how we will be triggering it. So yeah, so here there's an option called control. So here I'll click on connect. So as I connect, I'll be given a time slot of 10 minutes. So in that 10 minutes, I can trigger the specimen. So you can see I've triggered it. So here, as soon as I trigger, the torque versus angle graph is plotted. So you can see here, let me just show you the video. So this is the experimental setup in our college. So you can see the specimen is getting this is the end where the torsion, where the torque is applied. So you can see here this side is rotating and this is a fixed end. So at one point when the specimen fails, we can get the readings. So this will take up to 6 rotations for it to fail, since it is mild steel specimen. So in case if multiple users want to use a remote triggered lab at the same time, what we will, and the rest for each he can trigger and get the values. So here there's an option to download the graph also. So it will take some time. So you can see about 3 rotation is over. Here the torque and the angle of twist will be recorded. The same values will be plotted here in the graph, as you can see here. So again, as I said, in the remote triggered lab, there are two labs, that is strength of material and vibration lab. So you can explore the vibration labs as well also.
Is it real time or it was a samples are
Only a
pre-ordered?
lag of 10 seconds is there, sir.
Means every time the same reading would be there?
No, sir. The readings will vary. Like the live stream, what you're seeing will have a lag of 10 seconds only.
Okay. And somebody would have to fix specimen at physically over there, then it can be triggered
So
remotely.
in case you're triggering, you can book a slot beforehand. So that will help you to that will help us to keep the specimen ready. So once the time slot is booked, your specimen will be ready and you can trigger it. So you'll get a time slot of 10 minutes.
Okay,
So in that
got
time,
it.
you can trigger it.
Got it.
Similarly, for the vibration lab, the time slot will be a little bit less, about 5 minutes time slot will be given. And since it is non-destructive in nature, you need not pre-book it, you can trigger it anytime. And also you can like trigger it 3 times in 5 minutes.
Okay.
So you can see here, the rotation, the number of twists have increased. I hope it's visible.
Yes, visible.
Yeah. So the website you have to go is rtlabs.nitk.ac.in. So this is the website.
Your network is poor, I guess.
So other than that, in this particular website, RT Labs, there is the virtual tour of the experiment. Okay, I hope I'm audible.
You are audible, but we lost your screen.
Can I get a? Okay, wait. Let me just reshare. Yeah, I hope my screen is visible.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Aishwarya, you are not
yeah,
audible.
the live video. You can download the data here. So the torque versus angle graph can be downloaded. There's an option to do that. Now, once the experimentation is over, I'll just go to stop. So I've got the graph, so I'll download it. So I'll then disconnect. So once my experimentation is over, I'll disconnect it so that the other users can use it. So this was about the remote triggered labs and one of the experiments in that remote triggered labs. So I'll hand over the session to Minimol ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Aishwarya.
Yeah.
A very good afternoon to all. I'm Minnie Moon, research scholar, Department of Chemical Engineering, NITK Surathkal. So I'll just share my screen and hope I'm audible.
Yeah, you are audible.
Yeah, hope my screen is also visible now.
Yes.
Yeah. So from lab.co.in, I will demonstrate few experiments from the domains of chemistry, that is chemical sciences, and a few experiments from biotechnology and biomedical engineering pertaining to life science subjects. So first I would like to show you chemical sciences. So these are the labs under chemistry domain. So we have most of the labs which are related to instruments. So it is basically spectroscopic labs like ultra fast laser spectroscopy. Then we have fluorescence spectroscopy, dichromism spectroscopy, etc. Then some basic labs are physical chemistry, inorganic chemistry, and one upcoming lab is organic chemistry. So we'll just see what are the experiments available under physical chemistry lab. So these are few are instrument based, and we have other experiments related to basic chemistry also. So we'll go to inorganic chemistry lab. So here I would like to demonstrate one experiment from water analysis, determination of chemical parameters. When you click on that, we have the user interface like this, which has the theory, procedure, self-evaluation. So theory describes the theory behind the experiment. The procedure is how to do the experiment in real time in real lab, and how to go about the experiment using virtual lab platform also. Then we have a tab called self-evaluation, where there are a set of MCQ questions where we can answer them and evaluate ourselves whether we are aware of the theory and procedure related to the experiment. Then the simulator is where we do the experiment. So I'll directly go to the simulator. So for Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham Labs, we have a free sign up where we have to sign up using our email ID and create a password. So since I have already done that, I'll directly log into it. So once we log on to that, we have this page opening up. We'll go to the full screen mode first. The options are available at the top right corner. So this is full screen mode, and this question mark button helps you when you click on that, you have the procedure coming up from the left bottom corner. So there is a stepwise procedure. You can follow that if you're not aware of how to use the experiment in the virtual lab platform. So here we have a set of tests to check the chemical content. So the tests are hardness, alkalinity, and COD. So we'll go with alkalinity, which is a titration based experiment. So we'll click, or we can choose the volume of the titrate to be used. So let that be 10 ml. The speed of titrant can be adjusted, which I will keep it to 1 ml, and the normality can be adjusted up to 0.05 normal. And then we can choose the indicator. So I'm choosing phenolphthalein indicator. We have the result here with the titrant used is HCl. The titrant used V1, the volume of the titrant, which is the burette reading later. And then the titrate is well water to check the alkalinity. So we'll start with the experiment. We can see the burette solution dropping into the conical flask. So we have to observe for color change. There's color change which stopped the experiment. The color has completely disappeared. And we can see the titrant used is 2.1 ml. So we have V1 value, and then we have V2 value and N1 value, from which we can calculate N2 value. So this is one kind of experiment here. So moving on to the main page. Physical chemistry lab available here. From this, I will choose one experiment which is instrument based, which is common to both biosciences and chemistry domain. So I'll go directly to the simulator. So clicking on full screen mode. This is spectrophotometry. So it's based on Beer-Lambert's law, etc., which can be read from the theory. So I can choose the solution, which is cobalt chloride, and adjust the concentration. I'll keep it to 0.001 molar. And the cuvette length, that is the path length, is also given here. So we have a blank solution. We have an unknown concentration for which the absorbance is to be noted. And then we have a known concentration, which we have adjusted here. So this is the spectrophotometer. We can adjust, we can calibrate the instrument first by clicking to open the instrument first, and then we will place the blank solution. We'll close the instrument, then make it auto 0. So it reads 0 angstrom units. Click to open and then replace it. Keep the known concentration. Then we will close it, note down the reading, which is 0.0348 angstrom units. Then we'll remove it and we will check the concentration, unknown concentration of cobalt chloride. Close it and note down the reading to be 1.7191 angstrom units. So with this, based on the formula given in the theory, we can calculate the absorption coefficient, etc. So these are few experiments under chemistry domain. You can explore the other labs yourself. which is all spectroscopy based experiments under chemistry domain. So moving on from the main page, we will click on biotechnology and biomedical engineering. And we have these are the labs ready for use. So this covers most of the life science subjects, which includes bioinformatics. Then we have some advanced labs like systems biology, biological image processing, biophysics, biomedical and signal processing labs, including proteomics lab. Then the other basic labs available are biochemistry, ecology, immunology, microbiology, molecular biology, and cell biology labs. Some upcoming labs are also available here, which is data science related, which are the newer labs. So here there are different types of labs available. One type of lab available under microbiology virtual lab is, these are the experiments, list of experiments. So one type of lab is animation based video. So when you just click on any of these experiments, for example, I would like to take streak plate method. This is an animation based video. When we click on this, it will redirect us to an external website like YouTube, where the experiment performed in an animation. So students can follow this automatically and then do the experiment accordingly in the laboratory. So this can be an aid for students and teachers to conduct the laboratory classes. So you can watch the video later. I'm sorry, I'll just reshare my screen. Hope the screen is visible now.
Yes, yes.
So another type of experiment would be a simulation based experiment. So that I would like to choose that from biochemistry virtual lab. So these are the list of experiments available under biochemistry lab. So here I would like to choose detection of adulteration in milk. So this is simulator based. I'll click on that. Yeah, this is the experimental setup as in our laboratory. This is a wet lab experiment. So I can choose the adulteration test from here, which I would choose soap in milk. And then we have the reagents, we have water bath, and then we have the milk sample here. So to the milk sample, to check whether the milk contains soap or not, which is a qualitative test, you just have to take hot water and add it to the milk sample. And to that, we have to add phenolphthalein. So click and drop phenolphthalein into the milk sample with hot water and observe for color change. So we can see the color has changed to violet. So this indicates the presence of soap in the milk sample. In case there was no color change, then there is no soap in the milk sample. So I will choose a presence of soap since it is violet in color. I choose presence of soap in case and choose correct answer. In case I choose absence of soap, then it will prompt that it is a wrong answer. So this is one kind of experiment. So I would also like to show you where are the other labs available under biology domain. So from the new lab development option from the vlab.co.in page, there's an option called Explore Labs, where I choose approved labs or labs under development. There we have a set of labs which are under development, where only few experiments are available. So when I sorted discipline wise, we have several labs related to biology, which is biotechnology and biomedical engineering. There we have zoology, molecular biology, instrumentation, cell structures lab. Also, we have few DNA-based experiments under forensic science and forensic serology lab. And then we have three zoology labs and 1 molecular biology lab also here. So with this, I would like to end my session and stop my screen share and hand over the session to Navneeta.
Thank you, Minimol.
Thank you.
Thank you. And this is Navneeta. Let me share my screen. Hope my audio and video is clear.
Yes, yes.
So myself, Navneeta again. I'm a research scholar at the Physics Department, NITK Surathkal. So today I'll be taking through a few experiments in physical science domain. So vlab.co.in will take you to the homepage of virtual labs, and coming down you have the broad area session here. So clicking on to physical sciences, I will be taken to a page where we have the subsections coming under physical science broad area. So we have solid state physics, electricity and magnetism, optics, mechanics, then advanced mechanics, laser optics, heat and thermodynamics, modern physics, harmonic motion and waves, and a few upcoming labs like astrophysics and a few basic physics experiments. And in right side, we can see the institutions which have developed the experiments coming under this subsections. A few other sections which are not actually coming under physical sciences listed here, which is an error which has been noted and will be resolved very soon. For the time being, please ignore them. For the demonstration purpose, let's go for any of the subsection, for example, optics. So if you click on any subsection, it will open on a page where we have the list of the experiments and the aim of the experiment given below. So here we have a lot of spectrometer experiments, which is quite common for undergraduate programs. So let me demonstrate one among them. For example, if we are taking a diffraction grating experiment, you can see the outlook of the experiment is like just quite similar to what we have in the real labs. We have theory, procedure, self-evaluation, simulator, assignment, reference, and feedbacks. And theory, we have aim, apparatus, and the theory including the pictures as well as the equations explained very clearly. Then in procedure, many of the experiments are having procedures for real lab as well as simulator explained. So this will give the reader an opportunity to correlate what we are actually doing in the real lab with the simulator. Then in self-evaluation, after going through the theory and procedure, you can evaluate how much is the knowledge you have acquired. So for example, if you're clicking any of the answers, from now I'm clicking on random answers, click on it and then click on submit button. It will show whether the answer is correct or wrong. Okay. So moving on to simulation. So this is how we have the simulation here in the center, and here we have the variables for changing. Then coming below, we have the tabular columns. So in diffraction, we are initially standardizing the grating and finding the number of lines present. And then using this n value, we are finding the wavelength of the different spectral lines present in the spectrum. So here in tabular column, we have a plus or add button to add more rows if needed, and minus button to remove particular rows or readings. So just click on the row and then click on negative button, the row will be deleted. And if you have the readings there, that reading will be cut out from the further calculations. And we have save button here to save the readings, and print option to print the data. Now coming back to the simulation, here you can see the variable is actually covering up the simulation behind. So you can actually use this button to use a full screen so that we we can see the simulation properly. Then we have the hint button as well as here. So clicking on it, it will show the procedure step by step. So first is to focus the telescope. So here what we are doing is focusing the telescope using the distant object method. So you can see here the scroller for focusing the telescope. So click on it and scroll through, and you can see the image seen through the eyepiece is zoomed here, so that we can see what we are seeing through the eyepiece. And now we can see the images clear, focused. So click on start. Now we have the simulation for the experimental setup, the telescope, the prism table, the vernier table. Then we have the collimator, source, and the eyepiece zoomed, and the vernier 1 and 2 as well as zoomed for taking the readings. Now first is to switch on the light. So once switched on the light, we can see the slit here. You can focus the slit even further if depending on your wish, as well as you can change the slit width. Once you're okay with the focusing as well as the width of the slit, you can place the grating. You can see here grating has been placed. Then we have the options to change the angle of telescope or the grating table or the vernier table. So usually in this experiment with the grating, what we are doing is we will change the position of the telescope in either side of the grating, and we can observe the first order and second order spectrums in each side of the direct image. So let's see whether we can see anything at all. So moving on to right side. See, you can see the first order spectrum coming in. So we have the 5 colors here. Yeah, 5 colors. And going on, let's see, we have a second order as well. And we have second order, which is slightly dimmer than the first one, and the lines will be further apart compared to the first order. So this is quite similar to the simulation is quite similar to what we see in the real lab. And how to take the reading is coincide the crossfire with the lines, which is needed. Then take the readings from the vernier 1 and 2. Then type the readings in the grating, table or column, and the calculation will be done automatically once you fill in the values. So this is one of the experiments using spectrometer. Again, going for the spectrometer itself, let me show the angle of prism using the spectrometer, because here we have the animation. So the spectrometer is quite a difficult instrument for the students to perceive initially. Like for undergraduate students, it's there are lots of knobs and things going on. So for the students, it is difficult to understand what each knobs are for and how to use it. So this is a useful animation which can be used to explain the parts of the instrument as well as the use of it. We have a voiceover prompt as well, which I don't think you can hear for the time being, since I have not given the permissions for that. So this can be used in class or in lab. So again, coming back to the subsection page, let me show you an experiment with electrical circuit connection. So solid state physics, you can see the experiments coming under solid state physics. Let me take Zener diode as voltage regulator. So again, theory, procedure, self-evaluation, simulator, assignment, and all things can be seen here. So let me go for the simulator. And again, coming down, you have the tabular column. Here we have an extra option of chart. So after filling in the values, you can click on chart button so that it will show the graph. So since the table is empty, the chart is also empty for the time being. So let me show how the connections are done. So if you take the pointer near connection points, you can see it is highlighted. So click on it and drag so that the wires are used to connect the points. Similarly, from negative of the battery, we go for rheostat. Then the other end of the rheostat is connected to the key. From this connection is done now. Now from the rheostat to the voltmeter, there is black line came up, it should be to resistance. So inside of voltmeter coming into rheostat again. Then from the resistor it is going to milliammeter, and from milliammeter it is going to the negative point of Zener diode. And from that point we have a resistance. At that point the resistor is going to and from across the resistor we are connecting the voltmeter. Now the Zener diode has to be connected back to the rheostat, and the last connection, the voltmeter has to be. So the connection is complete. In real lab, we have many ways to connect. I can connect these wires in different ways, but since this is a simulation, this is the only way you can connect. So the picture, the connection picture is given in the procedure part. So please go through it and you can connect in that way. So once the connection is completed, you can click on insert key. It will be activated and we can use insert key. So the key is inserted now and ready to take the readings. So here we have the options for changing the Zener diode voltage. We have a few options here. So 5.6 if I'm taking, then I can click in giving the series resistance used. So I have the option to change the resistance from 300 to 5000. So let me go for some smaller values. Okay. Then I have to give in the here we are doing, if you check it, please, if you go through the procedure, you can see we have two things here done, that is line regulation as well as the load regulation. So for line regulation, we'll be keeping the load resistance constant. So let me give some 10K. Okay, around 10K. Now, if I change the rheostat value, that is, I'm giving the input voltage, I'm varying the input voltage, and correspondingly, we can take the reading of the output voltage. You can see here, input is 0.6 volt and output is 0.56. Then we can go on increasing it. And beyond a particular value, that is the Zener voltage, it will be a constant. You can see that. So we are using a 5.6 volt Zener diode. So beyond 5.6, the output voltage is going to remain constant and input voltage may vary or not. So that is a line regulation. Now, similarly for load regulation, we'll keep the input voltage a constant, that is rheostat will be kept at a point. So let me keep it at 12 volt. Then we will change the load resistance. So again, you can see if if I go on changing the load resistance, until one particular reading, until one particular load resistance, the reading output voltage will vary. And once it reaches 5.6, thereafter it will remain a constant for any higher load resistance. So this is how load regulation can be done. So these readings can be taken in any interval depending on your wish, and you can keep on adding the values into the tabular column and get the chart from here. So that is one more experiment from here. So other experiments apart from these lists, you can see again a few experiments in new lab development. Then in explore labs, in approved labs, you have a few physical science experiments listed for physics, engineering physics we have here. Then again, physics, basic physics labs is here. Again, a physical science is there. So we have 3 sections here. So in this, if you go engineering physics, we have a Newton's ring experiment. Again, this Newton's ring experiment is present in optics, I think. It is already present here, some in the main page. So this is an extra. The same experiment is again repeated here, but with a better simulation. So you can use any of the simulation. Here the outlook of the experiment is a bit different since the developing institution is different, but we have all the contents in theory and procedure, simulation, everything. So you can explore it on your own. And that's it. I will stop sharing, and I think my colleague can take up the session from here.
Yeah.
Thank you, Navneeta.
Thank you.
So, sir, can I take another 5 minutes and conclude?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Quickly go through the experiments from computer science as well. And,
See, Beryl, because majority of faculties are aware virtual labs, because we had earlier tied with the IIT Mumbai. So these basic things we know, but particularly our faculties are interested that how which protocols or which softwares and which equipments are used for making it remotely triggered. So lots of anxiety is there.
Okay.
So
I think Latish has already, I think Latish or Aishwarya had already shown that.
Correct. But for example, if it is remotely triggered, then what sort of arrangements are required? That we want to know.
Okay, because remote triggered is actually a pilot kind of a thing. It's a very costly affair. So maintaining it and running it across like for a long time, because after all, if you have a single equipment and you're letting others use it from your laboratory space, you will have only one person will be able to work on it at a single point of time. So that's basically a bit more of a cost in when you look at it in the cost benefit perspective. It's quite a costly affair, and according to the ministry, as far as the ministry is concerned, they are looking at covering maximum subject areas as far as possible, and bring in, as we are going into blended learning and all such novel technology in education initiatives. They are looking to cover as much areas as possible, and according to the ministry assessment, we may require more than 500 virtual labs to be created to ensure that all the science and engineering faculty are catered to. And that's the target Virtual Labs Consortium is presently looking at. That's why we are focusing more on developing and providing simulations at this given point of time. And we are right now at around 125, 130 odd labs that are offered on this platform right now. And it's trying to be extended. It's trying to be covered to more and more areas as far as possible. So I'll just quickly conclude then.
Yeah, please go ahead.
we have already seen the demonstration of simulations from different of these areas, and I was supposed to cover the demonstrations from computer science and engineering. So computer science, it's a different kind of a experience in comparison with the other areas, because you don't really have anything to simulate or recreate or animate from a real physical world existing thing, except in the case of hardware or electronics oriented lab, which you have already seen in the discussion about circuit labs. But other than that, for most of the programming subjects, we don't really have the need of providing a simulation. But then what is there in virtual lab simulation for computer science students and faculty? So we have several labs where you can write your code and test run your code along with the theory. So it's a one-place solution mostly. It's trying to give students theory and practice at one place, and also provide the learners a cognitive understanding of the concepts of the subjects, rather than just writing your code after learning from your book on a simulator or on a. I hope I'm audible. I got a message that my network is a bit weak. I hope I'm audible, sir. Can I get a confirmation? Hello?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yeah, thank you. I think I'll switch off my video for the sake of saving bandwidth. Yeah, so rather than writing your code on an IDE or a compiler or any other software that's offline on your system, if you can use a simulator on virtual lab. So you can have a look at the offerings on this platform. We have already shared the curriculum mapping. So specifically, you can look through the offerings here listed under computer science and engineering, and also the labs that are listed under the new lab development page. So you can look at both these spaces to identify labs, identify simulations that will be useful for you. So if you take a couple of examples, if you look at HTML lab, we have 10 experiments here, and here you have both theory and writing of code in a single place. And also similarly, so this is one kind of lab where you have programming component involved. So you have the provision to learn the syntax and learn the semantics of the language as well. Whereas there are purely theoretical labs like data structures, cryptography, graphics, all these software engineering, all these are purely theoretical labs where you're supposed to learn the algorithm with the help of simulations and video tutorials, various animated practice tools that can be used to learn the algorithm and practice it and learn the algorithm analysis portion of the particular algorithm and all these things. That's how labs in computer science are structured. You have theory, you have the practice part, and the objective is to give the students a tool that where they can get the cognitive understanding of the subjects. So you can go through all the other labs and you can also refer the curriculum mapping that we have shared, which will have its own set of limitations. It won't be exhaustive. The resources, look for the best resources from the VLab platform. And also when you are going through the simulations, you may come across, because there was a question in the chat earlier that some of the labs are not really friendly with mobile interfaces. So this is a project that was more than 12 years old. So there are old labs as well as new labs. So even if you take the case of computer science, for example, there are old versions of data structures and computer graphics that are there, which have been replaced by HTML5 versions. So the older versions were Flash based and the newer versions are HTML5 based. So that kind of a upgrade process is going on, but still you may find, you may come across labs that are yet to be upgraded from earlier proprietary tools or platforms. So in such cases, you may have to use some workarounds. So there is actually a workaround for using Flash-based labs. So you may know that Flash has become obsolete and it has reached end of life. So in the announcements portion, there is a Google Doc provided where you can use these techniques. So it's just downloading and installing a customized version of Ubuntu 14.04 with the necessary plugins to run Flash-based web content. So that can be used if you are required to run any of the older labs which are Flash-based and yet to be upgraded to HTML5. There are very few in number. I think not more than 10 labs will be there in total that are Flash based and yet to be upgraded. But if you encounter any one of them, or if you want to use any one of them, you can use this particular workaround as well. So I think with this, we can conclude the session. So I'll end the demonstration from our side and we can go into Q&A. Siddharth sir?
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Beryl. So, may I invite all questions from the participants? So I think major doubt was that Flash plugin, and I think one of your colleague demonstrated to that Ubuntu virtual workflow. So we also face that problem because earlier it was not working.
Instructions is provided now on the homepage. In announcements is there, so you can refer that.
But problem with Ubuntu is that it is very large file. I think 3 GB size is there. Probably.
Yeah, but if you have a reasonably good laptop with 4 GB RAM and you'll be able to configure VirtualBox. Configuring VirtualBox, it's not that difficult and it will not consume a lot of system resources as you may fear.
Correct.
So it won't be that difficult. You have a detailed instruction note on the website itself. You can refer to that. And the customized version is also customized Ubuntu version. Link is also provided there. It's a GitHub link. So you can download that particular image from GitHub, mount it on your VirtualBox and use those older Flash-based labs.
Okay. So I think there was one question that how we are developing this virtual lab. So it's all together HTML programming, and probably in near future we will arrange workshop for that also.
Definitely, sir.
Correct. So I thank you all research scholars, Beryl, Latesh, Navnita, Shrestha, and Minimol, right? So thank you very much for sparing your time and energy. Hope I'm not missing anyone. Okay, so we conclude this session, and I really thank Professor Dr. Gangadharan, Umesh, Dr. Sheena Madam, and I really thank our administrator, Dr. R.B. Jadeja sir, our provost sir, our registrar, Dr. Naresh Jadeja sir, all the deans, Dr. R.L. Jala sir, Sarang Pandey sir, Lalji Baldania sir, all heads of the department who joined and cooperated in this event, and to all the faculties who joined this event throughout and learned this event patiently and cooperated during the entire event. So thank you all. Thank you, Beryl. Special thanks to you for lots of communication, and you have done nice cooperation. So thank you, and we conclude this webinar. Thank you. Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you, sir. And from NIT side also, we extend our thanks to everyone at Maveri University, especially our former director, Sancheti sir and Jadeja sir, to you, everyone who has taken efforts to organize this program. And we would request everyone to look through the resources. And if you have any difficulties or if you encounter any bottlenecks, you can always reach out to us.
Sure, sure.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you. So we end this meeting. Thank you all.